Picture this, you work hard as you always do, and at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you finally get that paycheck, which you have to take home in a wheelbarrow. By the time you get to the shops, there's not much bread left and you can't afford it anymore because the price has gone up again since this morning. So what do? You vote for the mustachio man, and then Poland takes half your country. This is a reality of life for millions, if not billions, of Broken Arrow players right now because of something called ELO inflation. Hello, my name's Heinrich, and I'm the world #1 Broken Arrow player, or at least I was until ELO inflation took my rank from 1, I know that says 19, let me just edit that part out, took my rank from 1 all the way to 757 because of ELO inflation. So what is ELO inflation? It's dead simple. Here's a Broken Arrow game. It'll be linked in the description if you want to see it. It was taken from a live stream. Here's Team A. Team A has 5,311 ELO, and Team B has 5,212 ELO. At the end of the game, Team A gains 138 ELO, and Team B loses 51 ELO. That's where the problem is. In all normal ELO systems, whatever Team A gains, Team B loses. Whatever the winner gains, the loser loses. Why? If this doesn't happen, you get rampant ELO inflation. It's just like printing money, except for ELO. It's a great way to think about it. So here's another example, right? 5,272 initial ELO, 5,264 initial ELO. So, a less balanced game than last time. Team A gains 116 ELO, and Team B loses 45 ELO. Here's a third example, 5,974 versus 5,001, so not really a balanced game at all. Team A gains 81 ELO and Team B loses 31 ELO. You'll note that in every case, the ELO gain is more than twice as much as the ELO loss. So this is leading to rampant ELO inflation. Think of ELO as like a pool of water. ELO is your ranking, by the way. It's your point number for how good you are. It's used in chess and things like that, except in chess, whatever one guy gains, the other guy loses. Otherwise, the whole system breaks down, which is what's happening here. See ELO as a pool of water, right? The total ELO, it's all one big pool, and basically at the end of every single game, more water is being added to that pool because ELO is being magicked up out of nowhere. You're not taking the enemy's ELO, you're printing additional ELO. So this makes all ships rise. So the average ship is the average player. All the ships rise. Obviously, it's a pretty big swimming pool if it's got boats in it, but you get my point, right? Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, well, why should I care? Why does this matter? It is a pretty big deal. The most important reason, or at least, the most obvious reason, let's say you're a pro player and you were the rank 1 player on 1,300 ELO, and then you stopped playing for a month, and then 1,300 ELO is now a bad ELO, right? You can see this right now with the ELO range of about 900. In the launch week, 900 was a very high ELO. 900 is now a noob ELO. If you have 900 ELO, you're now bad. So what that means is, let's say you're very good at the game and you stop playing for literally a week or 2 weeks and you come back. Now you're surrounded by a bunch of noobs, right? And you're literally just an adult surrounded by a bunch of kids, role-playing as the IDF. Bam, bam, £2,000 JDAM. You might think that's fun, and certain people do, I think, in that part of the world, but it's not, because your teammates are also bad, right? They're a lot worse than you, so it's frustrating for you if you're the pro player, and it's also frustrating for the enemy team because they're being beaten up by somebody who's way, way, way better than them. So it's just not good for anybody. It's not good for the top player, even though he thinks it is. Maybe for a couple games, he's going to get bored pretty quickly if all his teammates are bad and all the enemies are kind of bad. He's not feeling challenged, and it's not good for the enemy team because they're being stomped by somebody who should have a much higher elo. So the other reason is that it makes discussion quite difficult, right? The 900 ELO example is something that happened to me just today, actually. I was talking to somebody and he was like, well, I'm 900 ELO, that's good. It's like, well, have you played in a week? Have you been playing recently? 900 ELO was good and now it's bad. And that number just keeps increasing. The average ELO keeps increasing. So your savings, your ELO savings, are just constantly being eroded by ELO inflation. So how do you fix it? Right? We've addressed the problem. We know why it's a problem. We know why it's happening. How do you fix it? Dead simple. Whatever these guys lose should be what these guys gain. So all they have to do is take their existing formula and multiply it to make this equal to this, right? So that they can either bring this number down, or they can bring this number up, or they can meet in the middle. That's all they have to do. Whatever you gain is whatever another person loses. Now, this doesn't describe the whole story, because you would still get ELO inflation. So like this would still be happening. This would still be happening, but to a much slower extent, because essentially you get new players come in and they start with ELO and then they lose a bunch of games and then they quit. So even though the average ELO across the player base is still the same, the active average ELO, the average ELO of the guys who are still playing, would keep going up, because there's lots of people who lose a few times and then quit and go do something else. It's very common, and it's a lot more common than people who win a few times and then quit and go do something else. So that you've got this constant, it's a lot slower than what's happening right here. I mean, if you've been playing the game for a few weeks, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? It used to be that 1,000 ELO was a top player. Now 1,000 ELO is a bad player, right? And it's just going up and up and up. The middle class is being eroded by this rampant inflation. So yeah, I mean, the real world analogy of what I've just described could be like, so let's say you're a guy who maxes out a bunch of credit cards and then gets hit by a bus, right? That money's now in the economy, and it does actually have an inflationary effect. So if you're feeling depressed, just think about the economy. Well, okay, this is not medical advice. You should probably seek some professional help, but I hope that helps you explain the concept. So the way you fix that problem is something called ELO decay, which is just at the end of the week, everybody loses 10 ELO. And then that means that, the average active ELO of the player base doesn't get out of control, because it's actually slowly being reduced, and it's fair. It happens to everybody at the same time, and it just keeps the numbers in the same place. So if you want to learn more about this topic, I really recommend Spirit of the Laws video on this concept, because a very similar thing happened to Age of Empires 2, except it was a very slight problem, whereas in Broken Arrow it's actually a very big problem. This is just massive ELO inflation. The gain is more than twice the loss, and in every single case I looked at, it's always twice. So do let me know what you think. Maybe you've got some ideas. Maybe you think it's a big deal. Maybe it's not. And I'll see you in the next one. GG.